Hello and welcome back to After the Movies, the show where we talk about movies after you've watched those movies. I'm Luke, and with me is my friend
Jonathan.
And we are going to be talking about the movie Gattaca. And again, if you have not seen this movie, you're young.
Shame.
Or you just missed good. I don't even know I don't even know how you would have missed this movie. So hopefully you've seen this movie. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again because it's good. Because Gattaca. So Gattaca, set in the not too distant future. It opens up with that, and even before we get to that, there's like this opening sequence, right? And there's like these falling things and sound and just. What is your impression of that opening? How does that strike you?
Well, this time viewing it, I knew exactly what it was.
Right.
So I know what I'm going into. I remember the first time I was kind of like, what in the crap is going on right now?
Right.
I actually like it because it's really close in, and it starts to slowly but surely move itself back. And I was kind of thinking actually this time around, I was like, I wish more movies would do stuff like this where it's like just nice little titles and there's something you're going on, you're trying to figure out. It's got nice music. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's a drama. I don't know. I see a lot of action movies and stuff, and no action movie does anything like that. No,
right.
Not even really a lot of dramas do stuff like that. It's just kind of you're watching it, and you're trying to figure out the clues, and you start to, if you're smart, if you're able to figure it out, good for you. I don't remember if I figured it out my first time or not, but it was like, it's the nail clippings and the hair, but you're really close up, and it's like...
Yeah, and the skin is falling, and it sounds like sand falling on a
But I love when they do Gattaca. I think they actually they have it a little bit farther back, and so it almost looks like snow when it's coming down. I really like that shot too. Anyway, so it's as far as an opening goes, it's good. It's nice. It's one of those things that kind of gets you going.
Yeah.
What is this? I wonder. And that's great, but as a whole though, it's not seared into my brain though. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think about Gattaca and go, oh yes, when the fingernail fell and it was so loud that I was like, what is it? No. I mean it's good.
Okay. All right. Well, and that close in piece is actually one of the things I love about this film because there are so many little elements where it's like it's an eyelash, it's a hair, it's a thing, and the way they're able to frame that. In fact, every time that I watch it now, and I've seen the movie several times, every time that you get this shot where she hands him a hair, and then he's holding the hair, and you can totally see that it's a hair, and not even just when you're watching the Blu-ray version. When you're watching the DVD, you're like, that's a hair he's holding, and maybe it's because I just struggle getting things into focus, but I'm just like, how in the world did you make that thing to show up? Did you get a hair that was 30 times bigger than normal? I'm always impressed. Those little details, I'm always impressed.
It's true. It's really well done. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of close-up photography in this film.
Yeah.
Get your macro lenses out because you're gonna need them. I mean, it is really crisp and clear, and you definitely don't lose anything. That's important. It's funny, like you said, so much of this movie is someone's got a vacuum and they picked up a hair. Oh my goodness, that's a big problem. And I know it's funny, but it's cool. I love the movie, I really do, and that's it's tension feeling. That's a big deal.
And that's the thing. They execute that right. So instead of being funny, there's a guy with a micro vacuum cleaner that's going along the edge, and he got the eyelash. It's actually this moment where you're he got the eyelash. You actually care deeply about this thing, and So even from the get go, where you've got these particles, these moments. And yet it all comes together, and it fits really well for me.
And notice how the only reason that plays is because, like you said, you care about the character. And notice how that's technically, that's all one scene, right? So him getting ready, going to work, and then cleaning his keyboard and stuff, then planting extra stuff, doing the test, and then he has, I don't know if he looks at the space shuttle or something, and he comes back, and it's the dead body, right? Dead body.
Yep. Which they open with. They open the movie.
This is all the beginning, right?
Yep.
Then, if we had gone straight through the scene, we would have gone to the eyelash, and you would have been like, okay.
Who cares? Right.
But they then take another 5-10 minutes, and they go back in time and say, okay, so we wanted to intrigue you with the guy who is ridiculously clean. Why is he this clean? Why is he planting stuff but cleaning stuff? Why is all this happening? And they go through, they give you all the exposition, but you get the conflict in there too, right? Of the brothers and
Yep.
I mean, you can identify. You're like, I'm a normal human being. If somebody else was like, my brother was genetically modified to be way better than me, and my dad loved him more, I'd be pretty sad.
Maybe that's why I struggle to relate to this movie, because I am a perfectly genetically modified. Never mind. Okay,
Well,
no.
that's why I'm sad. I identify with the movie so
I just
much.
don't understand this film. Like,
We should go swimming sometime. See if I can do it. I won't hold anything back for the swim home.
Yeah, as one who actually was a swimmer once, I hope I can beat you.
I would think
Open
you
water
would.
swimming is difficult, though, friends.
Then
Difficult.
let's just go running then. I don't know.
Oh, you'll kick. You'll kill me.
Anyway, so they take that whole minute for
Yep.
exposition. There's good tension in that scene, and it's really, I think it's fascinating. Now, again, I'm info dump friendly, as we've been saying. Like I actually am totally okay with that kind of thing. But I think as far as the movie goes, I think there's a lot of fascinating things happening in all those sequences. They're done well. You're obviously learning about the character, and that's the thing. You like exposition when you've asked a question. If you haven't asked a question, you don't necessarily care for exposition.
Right.
But when you want to know something, and they're going to give you some answers, suddenly you care about the exposition, even if it's just to get your curiosity satisfied, right?
Hey, let me tell you about this red lollipop that I just picked up. I don't care about the red lollipop! Okay, like, what's going on with that? But yeah, you're right. If it's something where like, wait, what's that all about? Yeah.
If the lollipop was like, you never talked about it, but you just kept on showing this guy like carrying around a lollipop for no reason, and you're like, why the lollipop? Like, why does he keep the lollipop in the wrapper? Why does he do that? Why does he have it in his pocket? Like, why hasn't he eaten it yet? And then you had some explanation, you're like, well, because this is a special lollipop that his mom gave him when he was 3. I don't know, whatever, right? So that's the thing, right? So Gattaca does a great job of making you, first thing it does is say, hey, this is kind of interesting. Hey, here's a question or two. Why is this guy a freak? And then you go to you go to the exposition of, he's not a freak. He's got very valid reasons for everything he's doing. In fact, if you were in his position, you might do the same thing. Suddenly, I care. Then you go back to that sequence, and it's the eyelash thing, right? There's been a murder, and then there's a guy's coming with little micro vacuums, and they pick up his eyelash. You're like, you know, you just it's impactful. So I think that's what I think I'm most impressed by with Gattaca's opening is how that background sequence is led up to, executed, and then how that affects you right after that. How that all really plays well together and all is really seamless.
Yeah. What I thought was pretty funny, actually, watching the film this week after watching Frequencies last week, if you haven't watched it, you should, is that, again, we have this idea of discrimination down to a science. And it was interesting to see that echoed from two different films from very different, it's quite a bit of time in between the films, and to have that same theme of, you know what, even if we were to like eradicate discrimination on a intellectual or relational or whatever, we're still going to find ways to discriminate against people. Like, there's still going to be this like tiered system that we're going to develop because we just gravitate toward that. Like, introducing that as a human condition, even in these kind of like futuristic or not so futuristic or different realities out there.
Well, it's also kind of interesting because it makes like discrimination is wrong, it's bad, and on the levels that we have it in the modern day world, like racial discrimination, we're in a place, hopefully, as a culture where at least the majority of us go, that doesn't make any sense. That's a human being. The skin color is different. That doesn't mean that they're incapable of something, right? The funny thing about these movies like Frequencies and this is on a logical level, it makes absolute sense. It totally makes sense. Why would you hire the person that has the most probability of sucking at the job? Why would you do that? You wouldn't. Right?
Or they could fall over dead tomorrow, and then you have to pay life insurance, and you have to do. I mean, like they even reference that with like, hey, can't our kid attend your preschool? No, the insurance says no way. Okay, he's way too much of a risk.
And so it's just kind of fascinating how it's not just. So yeah, it doesn't just play into the classic things that we experience of. It's something that's really irrational, and it might be a belief system, it might be something you grew up with, or something you just don't even know why you're prejudiced, but you are, some sort of random emotion or hate or something. But in this world, as an audience member, I totally understand what that is. And the funny thing too is that the underdog in those kinds of movies are us.
Yes.
Right? You can't. Everybody understands you can't be the most lucky person in the world.
Nope.
You couldn't be the genetically modified perfect being. Nope. So it works on a logical level, but you suddenly don't like it because you suddenly realize you're not that good.
Right.
You're not as good as the things in the film in that world. So it's kind of interesting how those definitely are similarities, but that's another similarity. Like why is that the thing? I guess it definitely helps an audience identify. But it's interesting. Prejudice. It puts you immediately in the place where you are prejudiced against, and you'd be like, no, that's not fair.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that, even though it makes complete logical sense that you would hire anyone but me.
Right, because I'm awesome. I try hard.
But it puts you immediately in the position of wanting the hero to be able to succeed because you identify immediately, which is kind of fascinating.
Well, and with that, then, this brings us to one of those things that we talked about a while ago with a different film where you didn't understand the people's motivations. This movie, you understand people's motivations. You get it, and just about everybody's motivation. Like, you understand what's going on. Even Uma Thurman's character, she comes along, and you're first like, oh, she's just a stone cold, she's... And why is it that in, perfect societies, everybody just has to be, cool with everything?
Because they're always taking the equilibrium drug too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. So, but she's she's solid. She's good. She's attractive, and she's top of the person. She's the guy that the director says, hey, you need to be the person that takes this on because you're the only person. But
I don't get that impression.
No. I
get the impression earlier that she is just like everybody else. That she is stone cold. I never get the impression that she's that great though.
Well, but she's. I see her as fitting right in with the top echelon. It's not like, oh, you're the.
But don't you feel like she gets discriminated against immediately off the bat with the director being like, isn't the whole point of her going and working with the cops being, you're not actually going to go to space, okay? Why don't you just go deal with the cops, okay?
Right.
You inferior genetic being. I feel like that scene.
Could.
So immediately, I think you're put, even though the initial impression is kind of, she's like everybody else.
She's got it.
She's got it all figured out.
Yep.
You suddenly begin to realize, no, she doesn't.
Well, and that's where eventually she even reveals this whole thing about her heart condition, and which leads to that beautiful moment where they each have a heart condition. Okay, whatever. But
their hearts beat for each other.
Okay, so but there, even her character, there's this longing for her because she wants to be with that perfect person because she wants to be that perfect person, right? And so there's just this, every character has this motivation, this thing. So before I go to there.
Sorry, just total side note about that character and motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Can you maybe better identify for me why she kisses him when they're being hunted by the police in that moment? Do you have any idea what would be the motivation specific? I get the characters were coming together. I was buying that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's there's this big moment where he punches the guy. It's he's not really who he says he is. Clearly, he's got something's up.
Yep.
And she goes with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's the heart thing shows up.
Yep.
I get all that, but then why is that the moment that they kiss? Why is that he's who's he? She's he calls out Vincent or whatever, and she's like,
who's Vincent? And he's
he's trying to say, I'm Vincent, right? And she's like, don't say anything, don't do it, just kiss me. And I'm like, what?
Well, okay, and I was good. I'm glad that we're on the same way because that doesn't work in the movie for me at all. And I'm not just talking about the kissing, which honestly, it's we just had a traumatic experience, so we're gonna get closer together. That's a filmic trope. That happens.
Yeah.
So okay, but then we fade to black and magically they're at her place. And every time I've watched the movie, from the first time to this time, I'm like, how'd they get there? What happened? How did they get from
That's true.
The detective was in the alleyway and then they magically got I'm always like, how did they end up in bed?
Those are good questions to ask. I'm more distracted by the kissing because by the time we get to them, it's we're upside down watching the beach go in a reflection.
It's a pretty cool shot, but
making out. I'm like, all right,
but every time that happens, every time I'm like, how did you get there? I have no idea. So that honestly, that is probably the biggest thing that does not work for me in this movie. That transition, I'm just I am so lost. I don't understand how you got here.
That happens a lot in movies, though, right? There's a lot of movies where the romantic thing, it was just not is not the cornerstone of the movie, or maybe it might even be the cornerstone of the movie. But a lot of times, those initial moments, this initial not only are they interested, not only are they flirting or going on dates, but now it's they're gonna go have sex, and apparently that's in film it's that's the thing that makes it really serious.
Yeah. Now, until you get to the point where you say, I love you, and then it's really serious, and then when you put it on Facebook...
Oh, shiznit. You done did it. You put it on Facebook.
Okay, no, but but even that, like, I'm okay with them building their relationship. Like,
Yeah, it's good. They're
like
building
all
it.
that. All I go, it's the transition from you were running from the police who are hunting you, who have no reason to stop hunting you right now, and
like-
magically you
They're like 30
teleport
feet that
to.
way. They're
Right.
30 feet that way.
I
You're,
just
you're
keep
making
going.
it out. Like, that's great and everything. I'm happy for you guys, but just 30
Right.
feet that way.
Yeah,
Problems.
like I don't understand how they got there, and so that every time I watch the movie, I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. How did we get here? Which I mean, then
But
you've got this.
it kind of works though, because if you're emotionally invested, depending on how emotionally invested you are,
I'm
you
not.
give a movie grace
Nope.
with things that don't work.
Mm-mm.
You just go with him.
Nope.
That happens. That does happen.
Nope.
Yes, it
Okay,
does.
so
That
so
does
that's
happen.
something that doesn't work. Okay, do you have anything else that doesn't work for you? Because
That's my biggest thing.
Okay.
Right there is
Is
that
the kissing.
Is I don't understand how, like, I was following motivations. I got everything. Everything was really building well for me. And then they kissed in the most weird spot. Yeah, they skipped the idea of, like, chase?
Yeah.
Escape police?
Yeah, it's all good.
I guess his brother can't walk any farther down the
No.
alleyway?
Like there's a barrier right there, like in video games.
Yeah.
The bots can't go any further.
And it's called the director. But it's, it's like, that's my biggest problem with the movie, as far as, like, things that might pull me out or get me thinking, like, oh, that isn't really
Right.
ring true for me.
Okay.
I feel like there might be a couple
There's a few shots for me, like, and it's because it's more center framed, where you switch from one person to the next. I think there's a couple, like, Jude Law back to Ethan Hawke shots that just, like, they're too close to each other, and so every time it just kind of like it's not like enough to, like, yank me out of the movie, but it just makes me, like, feel a little weird. And there's several where the shots are just a little too close when you cut between them, and so those drag me out. So from that perspective, that's a little bit okay. So that's stuff that doesn't work for me. Things that do work.
I love this movie. I love Gattaca.
Well, good. Can you be more specific?
I love G. I love A. I love so I like. I love this movie because this movie is.
I need a few more fingers to just be like. Okay.
Then you can be like the piano guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this movie's clever. I really enjoy. I think the concept is fascinating. I really enjoy the idea, because I think it's one of the things that's a lot closer in mentality, at least, in the culture than anything else. Is this idea of, if you could change yourself to be perfect, or change the next generation to be perfect as you see fit, wouldn't you do it? And it's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the majority of the.
What would possibly possess you to, like, put your trust in God for this? Like, that's.
Yeah.
There's so many things wrong with this world. Don't do that.
Even the mom who has the faith child, right? Even she ends up going with the next child, right? Not to do that. And I love all the concepts and tensions and ideas that come from it. And that is the movie, right? Like, the whole movie is centered around that world, and then the tension there, and then the idea of, can a normal human being, who's not just normal, is actually expected to die when he's 30.
And kind of has this crooked smile, which might mean that he's got, like, something wrong with his head,
his heart's broken. Like that's the thing. He is this fouled up person. And that's it's all the themes in this movie. I love them. They just ring true. It's great. Like, everything from, the swimming thing is the big test that they do dramatically try to show it, but the idea of the perfected individual who should be able to win can't outswim the person with the human spirit, with the heart, right?
Not only that, but then even the borrowed ladder can't swim fast enough to take first. He's second. His medal is the two swimmers, and he's in second place. And he could run through a wall, right? I mean, like, awesome, especially as a swimmer.
It is awesome. I mean, I love all these concepts they play with, and how they do it. It's just, it rings true. I love that the first two quotes they have are like the opposite ends of the spectrum. The first quote's the Bible's like, "Hey, if God makes it crooked, what are you going to do about it?" And then someone else saying, "I think when we can genetically manipulate people, it's going to be the shiznit." Like, that's pretty much the two quotes you get off the bat. And I was like, this is totally the tension of the movie.
Right.
Like, which way? And I love that by the end of the movie, and throughout the whole thing, but definitely by the end, we've landed on the idea of that first of the scripture quote, on that idea of, like, no, it's crooked, but is it really crooked? Not really. Like, it's part of who we are, right? And that's the thing. Humanity's often portrayed in movies like, what makes us human? Well, it's actually that we're broken, and that we somehow are. It's miraculously we're able to overcome it in times, and there's ways that things that shouldn't be actually are. And there's something like grace that maybe is existing, and there's something about, that's kind of the human spirit. That's the things that we get to personify in filmmaking. And I love they did it in this way. And yeah, the guy who's supposed to, the burdens, they talk about the burdens. The main character's burden is I can't do the thing I want to do. I just wish I could do it, but no one will let me. Everyone's pushing me down. Everyone says I can't do it. I have to be able to do it.
So I need a power anthem song, and I'm gonna prove them all wrong. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right, and then Jude Law's character is I was destined and perfected and have every capability of being the absolute best, and I came in second place. I can't be perfect, and I love it because it's those are the two of the biggest things that any person will ever face in their life. If you do well in life, you'll start to get to that problem of perfection. I need to be perfect. I need to get things done. Why am I not the best of the best of the best with whatever I do? And if you're on the other spectrum, you're like, why can't I do this? Why can't I succeed in this? Why can't I?
And especially if somebody's holding you back.
Yeah, if someone says you're too stupid for that, you're not capable or whatever. Right. I mean, that's just the human experience, and that's those two guys being intertwined and watching how they kind of circle each other, and it's the burden of perfection versus the burden of, I guess, the
discrimination
world
or whatever.
Discrimination, and then also seeing how the end of discrimination's burden is you can overcome that. But the burden of not being able to be perfect, unless you accept grace, which that character cannot do, is death.
Well,
and not only death, but basically self-inflicted suicide.
Right, it's over. Well, and that's where he has his if at first you don't succeed, try again. Right. I mean, like this
is tells you from the very beginning. Right. Yeah.
And so, actually, again, going back to my swimming career, which of course was lauded with much
praise.
but I actually ended up really disliking swimming because it was okay, well, you got a personal best. Well, can you get a personal best next time? Okay, yes, I did. And it was eventually I know that I am not going to be faster than I was. It's going to happen. There's going to be a ceiling at some point in time. And unfortunately, that happened my junior year of college. And my senior year, I wasn't as fast. And I knew it was coming. I knew it was happening. And getting out of the pool at nationals, after the mile and being slower than the year before, it was well, there it is. I hit my peak and now I'm on the way down. And I recently read a quote about art, but it's about, it fits for everything. And the person said, there are lots of ways for things to go really wrong. And he says, success, let's see. You can have problems if you have success, and you can have problems with failure. And the worst problem is when they go in that order. If you start with failure, but you get to success, you're going to be okay. But if you start with success and then experience failure, and of course they were way more, I'll try and find that quote again to put it in there because it was way more eloquent than that. But if you start with success and then you fail, that's the thing that crushes the most, for people who are artistic. I think for people who are perfect, for people, whatever.
It's the ramp, right? It's you always want human nature is to think that you always want the roller coaster to keep getting better. You always want things to keep getting better, and sweets have to get sweeter, and foods have to get tastier, and movies have to get better, and everything you do has. It's like the drug. It's like the drug problem, right?
Yeah, but movies do have to get better. Please, come on.
Well,
that's why we're talking here.
Yes.
All right.
That's a whole. Yes. Anyway, but the point being. This idea of human nature, and it's really the addiction mindset of everything has to be more better, stronger, more powerful.
Right.
And that's not. I don't think that's the real basis or a good basis for human nature. Right? I mean, really, the opposite is you're going to experience success and you're going to experience failure. And in fact, a lot of times, especially in movies and dramatic structure. Often you have, it's the roller coaster, right? Success, failure. And often the very big thing is that you have a pretty darn good success, and then you just kill everybody. You just wipe the floor clean, everything goes straight to crap, and everything is ruined. And it's the worst failure of all time. And then we have a success after that, generally speaking, right?
Right, because we have to climb.
We have to climb again, right? But that's kind of the nature of that's part of life, If you think that you're always going to ramp up and you always have to get better, then you're burdened. You're burdened by perfection. This idea that you'll never be there again or whatever. But if it's failures be damned, I'm just trying to succeed at one thing here. If I just get there, I'll be satisfied. And even that. Anyway, I think we're getting into moral and thought process stuff, but But Gattaca, I think, plays with all these issues really well. I think the movie is just phenomenal. I love the romance because even though that moment, that big switch, really does not play for me very well at all, I love it because there are other moments that are perfect, and the big thing would be the hair thing, right? Like she's like, she first starts out by getting one of his hairs, which isn't his hair, it's the genetically perfect hair, right? And she's like, hey, I'm sorry. I wanted to see how perfect you were, and you are super perfect, and I felt bad about myself immediately afterwards because not only did I steal your hair and do this kind of illegally, but I also am not good enough for you, and so if you're still interested, you can take my hair and look. And he just goes, I don't care. Like, it got caught in the wind, I'm sorry. In other words, I don't care. That's not what I'm about.
Right.
I'm interested in you for something else, right? Again, human spirit, maybe, love, decides whether or not you're broken as an individual.
Right.
And of course, I love it even more when it comes back full circle, right? Where he's finally like, now you know everything about me. Now you know how screwed up I am. Let me know if you care. And she's like, you cared about me, I care about you, right? So I like a lot of those things. Yeah. A lot of the things play really well.
Okay, that actually reminded me of something that didn't play super well for me. And again, it's there because they got to keep the movie going forward and all this stuff. But like, his picture is popped up on his screen and everybody's gonna be able to see him. And oh no, what's going on? And the director comes up and is like, "Is that the flight path that we discussed? Why, yes, it is. Right, so, righto, yes, there we go." And I'm just like, oh my goodness, that was just there for tension and like not even motivated. Like, write better lines. So that also bothered me because it's
but
those.
There are a lot of great lines though.
There are a lot of really good lines.
That's one of the few that stands out as like, ooh. But everything else is pretty darn good. I mean, there's lots of fun stuff. I love the detective.
Yep, the detective's great.
That guy's. I mean, that's the other thing. I always feel like that guy's not genetically modified. I always feel like that guy.
Yeah, he's not.
He's got to be an invalid, right, or something like that, somewhere lower on the spectrum at least, where he's like, I'm old and I'm from a time when that wasn't a thing, and now I have to like suck up to all these genetically modified punk asses.
And I have to prove myself. Right? He's got to prove himself.
And he always has the right inclination too. Yep. Like he's always like, man, you know what we should do is you take everyone's blood in, like from the vein. And he's like, I guess we could do that. And then it doesn't work. And he's like, you know what? We should probably do it again. He probably get out of it. We should probably do it again. He's like, we're not doing that. We're leaving. It's like and there's reason for that too, right? The genetically modified cop. And you don't necessarily get this at first. There seems to be good enough reasons, but you're kind of thinking he might be a little dumb or something. But the reason is he's the brother, and he knows he's the brother, and he's very concerned, and he wants to take care of his brother.
And yet at the same time, he wants to like get to him and be like, "What is going on with you? Like, I found you. What's up?"
Yeah. That is interesting. That's that whole relationship.
It's as one with a brother. A younger brother, although in this case he's an older, but he's smaller.
Brother,
so like, I don't know, but like, it's like nobody else picks on my brother, but I beat my brother into the ground because he's annoying. I mean, like, there's that thing, but no one else touches this guy.
No one touches my brother but me.
Right, exactly.
I will beat him, but no one else can.
Right, yeah. There's something about that. So that's even believable for me. That's a thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. The shots, I really like a lot of the shots in the film. I just like the way it comes together.
There's some gorgeous stuff going on.
I think my favorite shot in the movie, in fact, is we're following Jude Law. He's kind of in there, and like Ethan Hawke's gone off for his first date dance thing, and like he's just sitting in his wheelchair, and it's this shot from like here on him off to the side, and then he like kind of rocks back, and pops a wheelie on his wheelchair and scoots forward, and it's this perfect dolly shot right along with him while he does it. And for whatever reason, that shot for me is just so smooth, so perfect, just like perfectly captures just his mood at that moment, and just the motion, everything. I love that. I love that shot.
Interesting. I am very in love with the locations they found. I think the fun thing about it, again, it feels like, I think they had, somebody was funding them for it. It wasn't totally India. They had some sort of studio, but it was like a small studio picture at best, right? But there's something about it where all the locations they choose, because they only go to a few places, right? And they pull it off in such a way that it really does feel like the not too distant future, where it's very familiar. You don't have to have anything too crazy. They just have enough right touches, like everyone's doing electric cars, and the architecture is always like very curvy or very like straight lines. Like it's something a little bit unique, a little bit more than just a regular building or a regular cityscape, right? And the locale of everything they do, the houses that they're in, even like her house, right? Like her house is gorgeous, is on the beach, like where they're at, they're in their apartment area. It's not exactly stunning, but it's just got this kind of angled triangle shaped.
Yeah, and it's got this cool vibe inside with a spiral staircase. Like, who doesn't want a spiral staircase?
Right.
Although I will say, her room, like, if you're a beautiful woman, like, why would your bedroom be, like, in a glass? Like, I don't know. Like, that, like, you got to have, like, one-way mirrors or something. I don't know. But,
I don't know either.
That was a thing.
That is a thing. So, also, the Gattaca, the place, which I guess, Gattaca stands for this space station sort of thing where it's like, we're going to send people to space. Anyway, that whole locale... And like I guess he used a ditch or something to shoot the roof. Do you see that? Like he used like a freeway in LA, like a.
Oh, interesting.
One of the. I'm sorry, I can't remember the term, but anyway, it's like the roof, and the roof's really kind of cool and curvy, and it's like I just love the locales. I love the way everything looks. Yep. It's really fun.
It's a great vibe.
It's a great vibe, great world to be in, and it's not overly hard to do, It's like the most special effects, CGI wise, are like the space shuttle every once in a while goes off. Like that's it. Everything else is just practical, kind of having fun with cool design, cool production value. And I also love the characters weaving in and out, how there's more character. Here's a question. The janitor, the head janitor, who's like, don't clean that glass too good, kid, because you'll never get there. And with the end, not the end, but later we see him. He's like taking his trash for him and everything, right? Do you think on any level that he has any clue who he is?
No.
Or is it totally not?
He totally doesn't. And that plays into the theme of this movie, right? Of like, once it's about your helix, like, nobody even cares about your face. Nobody even sees you. Like, that they just do not see you at all because it's not you anymore. And so he has fallen into that too, even though Ethan has earlier quipped like, well, no, I need to clean it really well so that when when I'm in there, you can see me better. But no, he can't see him. It's blind. He can't see it because all that he knows is that this guy's a superior. That's it.
And I love the doctor character.
Love it.
I love that that's even I love that it's like Ethan Hawke, who isn't actually he's not normally a jerk, but he's got this facade to put on, right? And he knows how those people act, and so he has to act accordingly. So he's like, that doctor's trying to talk to him at the very beginning. Have I ever told you about my son? And he's like, yeah, it's great. I'm going to leave later. Thanks, dude. And of course, the big payoff is at the very end. And it's like such a great, talk about like building up.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Highs and lows, and it's like he's right at the door, and you get this moment where you're like, oh, come on, this is how it's gonna end. Like this is that moment where everything you've worked for, you got so far, and it's gonna come down to this. Like this is the thing that's gonna end you. Is this random new test? It's just like it's that close, and it really is. Like in the whole movie, it's really just that close. And so they actually give it credence in the end, where it's like. Yeah, and then they did this, and it would be over. Right. But you get that moment with the doctor where it's like,
have I ever told you about my son?
Ever told you about my son?
And you're like, why are you talking about this right now? I'm watching an intense scene.
And it's beautiful. I love that comes around. The doctors, I like the little quip too. It's like, by the way, righties don't hold with their left. Right. And it's like.
You've known all along.
Right.
This time.
He's been taking care of him the whole time.
Yep. Even with the blood thing, he just takes care of him because he knows. Even though like Ethan was being really clever, like he knows, like it, but you don't know that he knows until like that's really good. I also love that in that moment, just going off that theme, right, is that the doctor tried to make his son perfect, and the medical community couldn't. It wasn't that he was like, oh no, I had a faith child. No, it's he is like, it turns out that he wasn't what he was promised, like. And so there's even like this like even within like we can make everybody the same. No, you can't because humanity is broken. Like,
and that's the other thing. When you are perfect, you couldn't be perfect because you got second place. And even if you were first place, you can always get hit by a car and become paralyzed. Your whole life can change. You can be broke. Like it doesn't change. Life is still life, even within this. Us trying to take more control of who and what we are and how capable we are. Right. And so. I love all those themes. I love the way they play with all those things.
Even the reveal of that he stepped in front of a vehicle, like the way that comes out, the delivery and the timing and everything, it's just great. And the thing is, it's a line of dialogue. Yeah. And you like his entire story snaps into focus, and That's great.
It's a great movie for the first time, but I really do appreciate multiple viewings, because then when you come back and you know what characters are going to end up doing, you're always in the same place with Ethan Hawke's character, because you're with him, you're with Vincent the whole time. But looking at particularly the Doctor, even though it's small, but even more so Jude Law, and knowing that as soon as, so, you know, you've got the whole montage of like things getting started, right? Like how did he get turned into Jerome? And then after that, they go and they celebrate when he gets in, right? He's going to go on his mission. And they go to the place and he says, you know, what are you going to do? Like the very first thing is telling you, actually telling you without you knowing it, what's going to happen. And it's like, what are you going to do when like I'm gone? I don't like the idea of you being there by yourself. What does he say? I'm going to finish this. And then he drinks all of his wine, right? So you're supposed to think he's just going to finish his wine. He doesn't care. He's just trying to avoid the question, which he is. But he actually answered the question. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to make sure you have everything you need to go on without me, and then I'm going to dispose of myself so there's no evidence to the contrary, and it's all done. And that's, you don't know that until you've seen the movie once, and you can go back and see, that's what he was saying there. That's what he meant here. He talked about how he, you know, tried to commit suicide. He got paralyzed. You know, his character, that burden of perfection is way, way bigger than you thought it was. And how that's going to push him. And then, at the end when he talks to him, and he's in there, he's like, thank you for doing this for me. He goes, no. You let me, or I lent you my body, you lent me your dream, right? Which one's the more valuable? And that's, you know, the analogy of that, the symbolism of that alone is just phenomenal. And that's why I love this movie. There's so many great moments and character developments and things that are rewarding for multiple viewings. And again, the script, I think, while it's got some places that are a little low, it's really, really solid.
It's totally
really,
solid.
really solid.
Good job, Andrew Nichol.
Yeah, I know you like Simone.
Love Simone.
And
maybe we'll talk about it someday.
In Time, I seen Simone. I was okay with it. In Time, also, it was less than okay. It has a few good scenes. Andrew Nichols, for me, has never gotten back to the height of Gattaca, which is funny talking about the ramp of success. Anyway, so hopefully he'll bottom out and then come back. Anyway, come
on, Andrew Nichols, you can do it, man.
I love Gattaca. That's why. So those kinds of things, and all through the movie.
Yeah, and honestly, like, great movie. I really enjoyed it as well. I noticed this time, and I probably maybe noticed it before, but probably not because I'm not that clever. But like every time you've got a rocket ship earlier in the movie, like it's always from the humans on the ground perspective, and the rocket ship goes out of frame. But then at the end of the movie, the camera is panning as he's going up into space, and I just thought that was
we get to look,
very nice.
We get the space one. I mean, they do the pan shot or dolly shot across from all people's faces, and it's such a payoff because all those guys don't even care they're there. Like, they don't really care. Right. Like, they're just there, and they're just like,
yes, I'm going into space.
Yes, space.
Titan.
Right. And I love that the way they communicate it, because I could tell, every time I've watched it, I could tell these guys don't care. Show me the guy who cares, right? Like, I want you to show me my main character because he wants it. And how do they choose it? They don't do it with him being like starry-eyed or something. Instead, his eyes are closed, right? And that's such a great decision, and it's not that he keeps his eyes closed. Like, of course he's going to open his eyes. You want to see space, but he's just like he's in that human moment where you want to just absorb the emotion. You want to absorb the moment, and it's not necessarily coming through your eyes. It's coming by just feeling everything that's going on. And I love that was the small, simple, smart choice. If there was an acting choice, directing choice, whatever, it was great. So I love all that.
Okay, one more thing I just remembered that just didn't work for me. Because, hey, why not? Let's throw this in here right at the end here. Is that his brother, while swimming, just like suddenly like starts drowning. Like, that just, and it happens twice in the movie. And I'm just like, I realize that you have to do that for timing's sake, but like, I'm swimming, I'm drowning. So that doesn't work for me. But you know what? You have to do it. Move on with your story. Move on. Get to the good stuff because there's so much good stuff to get to. It's great.
Also, Michael Nyman's score for this movie. Beautiful. Beautiful music.
Even the piano piece. Love it.
The piano piece is good, yeah. You cannot play that with 60. Someone played it.
And they don't have six.
They don't have six fingers
on each hand.
unless
Maybe they found something.
There might be something.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this edition of After the Movies. Leave comments or stuff for us, or watch, or share it with somebody. Tell people about it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.